Before we start, I want to kindly thank Ruins who brought me a cover since one of my last videos. It's always appreciated. Hyperbole is all the rage, especially when it comes to the local rags trying to get clicks. After all, that's how they make their money now, as no one buys physical copies in the numbers that they used to. So when PA turn up to protest and looking smarter than your average mob, naturally they have to spin it and make out this heavily supported group are the next Waffen SS. The same paper that had an article about a criminal who may be deported, homeless people struggling, a series of break-ins, kids being approached by nonces, police cordons due to an assault, a woman who shagged her cousin, another girl grabbed by a you-know-what, and ram raiding. But despite all this, the vitriol was saved for PA and a man in a coat worn by many across the world. Expose, the far right's plot to infiltrate Hull. Hitler alike as well, mongs. Yes, PA were infiltrating Hull quite openly a week ago in a protest against illegal immigrants in front of police. Very covert. He's the Hitler lookalike behind a sinister attempt to gain support in Hull. Extreme right-wing views, a rabble of followers, committed white supremacists, surrounded by neo-Nazi sympathisers, distinct and sinister apparel, waxed down cropped hair. He's just a murderer in waiting, this fella. Fuck me. It goes on to talk about the time in the army and the speeches made by this manic Hitler emulator. It goes on to talk about the other PA members there, such as Laura, Laura's husband, and Mark. And of course, to complete the PA article bingo, that picture. Naturally, it includes a statement by the human centipede that is hope not hate, who are most happy that their research, I use that in quotes, was used. Hull sadly switched off the ability to comment on the tweet, however they were ratioed, so they took it down and put it back up again, only to get ratioed again. Facebook comments were switched off too. How sad. It's almost like they didn't want people to call them out on this effeminate bullshit. Who wrote this? Was it a 16-year-old girl who's just broken up with her first boyfriend? Or was it ChatGTP, programmed by Nick Lowles? No, it was a grown man. And this newspaper belongs to a group whose biggest shareholder is Larry Think of BlackRock. Real local journalism. It was also repeated in the Daily Mirror as well. Of course, the only traction it got from us was us quote tweeting it. Good work. Go and get your trench coats and get down Skegness. Also, no mention of these twats in the article though, or comparing them to well-known historical figures.
I'm just going through.
But obviously we have the war in Ukraine.
It's like the basket of things that are monitored for inflation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I got to read this. This is my favourite sentence of the evening. Artist Martel Langsdorff, and then it talks about co-editor Hyman Goldsmith, and according to Eugene Rabinovich, my Jewish brothers are in the house. That's the most Jewish sentence.
Rabinovich was the sort of presided over the whole thing early days, I think, wasn't he? He was quite famous.
Yeah. So
makes sense, doesn't it? Because if Jewish people are running the world, of course they'd be the most concerned about it ending.
They
well
have.
Done. Let's clip that up.
I said if.
Appealing to your fan base there, Nick.
Is this slightly heightened amygdala?
Every now and again, MPs forget themselves and where they are, and their inner monologues come out, which usually reflects the same as the public. This happened recently when, during the discussion about the child immigrants who have gone missing from the hotels they don't need to be in, a Tory MP said out loud, well, they shouldn't have come here illegally. Yes, a bit heartless given they're kids, or young adults pretending to be kids, but he's not wrong. Had they stayed in their own continent, or at least been somewhere secure and not a Ramada in the middle of the town, this wouldn't have happened. There are now calls for him to be kicked out of Parliament. The very English-sounding Tulip Sadiq was disgusted along with other MPs. Oh well, cry more. It's all your policies that have led to this.
It's going to be your kids next. It could be your mother next. It could be your niece next. And you got around this shit.
Good man, well said.
Even though we're constantly told that blacks need representing, you'd think they'd be happy with a road called Black Boy Lane. Apparently not, as the council, after pressure from locals, and I use that word begrudgingly, they wanted to change to La Rose Lane. So 200 grand later, it's been done with a new sign. Imagine the fun these two white workmen had changing the sign to a less offensive name, only for the sign to still have the old name on it. This performative bollocks is expensive, and it's already been vandalised. What a shame. Care for Calais are out trying to get people to donate items for people who don't really need to be here. But for some reason, and I can't think why, they mainly need men's clothes, and the boxer shorts must be tight. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's for the benefit of those working for them, so they can work out who they want to sleep with next. It's not all been bad news, as Ursula Haverbeck is no longer spending her last days in prison for pointing out historical inaccuracies. I wonder how she made it free. Did the prosecution not have any evidence?
And yet, several years ago, I came out as pansexual and a trans man. It gets better. My mum convinced me not to share my transition with my child, and I didn't. I kept it quiet because they were young. A few years ago, he came out as a trans boy. I am here representing my son, myself, and my girlfriend, who is a beautiful trans woman who's finally living her life. She's finally got a name change. She's finally living by herself.
Now, with Valentine's Day coming up, you're going to want to take your loved ones somewhere really nice, perhaps theatre to see a musical. Well, why don't you go and take them to see Parade, the wonderful musical about the story of Leo Frank, the man wrongfully accused of some heinous crimes that led to an organisation we all love. No thanks, I'd rather go and see Rent, and that's saying something. Now, this man turned lady who has spent quite a few years in prison is running as an MP. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, they're in prison for kidnap and attempted murder. But the press are loving it, because it's so progressive. Yet us, who also want to be in positions of power, get called all sorts of things, and we've not been in prison. Look at her, she's still typing away her story for the 1,000 word short story competition that I'm running. As you know, the competition ends on the 31st of January, so you don't have long now. And the prize, well, it's a pen inscribed with short story competition winner. What more could you want? And a Saintharrison mug. I know, spoiled, and you'll probably break it. But anyway, the deadline's coming up, there's a 1,000 word limit, and you ain't got long to send it in. And no copying, because these two are going to be checking. Send your entries to Short Story Comp 2023 at protonmail.com, so then we can choose the winner. Suddenly, a very old building which has managed to stand all these years has set fire to itself. Yes, St Mark's Church in St John's Wood, London, went up this week in flames. Who knows why? I'm sure they'll rebuild it exactly as it was before.
Too many Muslims. Too many people with different skin colours.
Her guest's son was enrolled into the local school, where the majority of children happen to be black and Asian.
And then to just have her complain about the demographic of the school and going, well, he can't be safe there. There's not enough white kids, essentially. The majority of my neighbours are Muslims. A lot of them are Kashmiris or Pakistanis, Indians, and they're wonderful people. And you just felt if you just would sort of give them the time, perhaps we'd come to the same conclusion.
They both agreed to end the placement.
Given what special commemorative day we've had this week, it's only right we discuss this, as there is an urgent need to build a UK Holocaust memorial, says Eric Pickles. Lord Pickles, the co-chair of the body overseeing a new £100 million Holocaust memorial, said he's desperate to finally start building, given that it's been delayed since 2014 because of objections. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister said he would legislate to work around a court ruling preventing the memorial and learning centre being erected in a Grade 2 listed Victoria Garden. Have you seen the state of the building? Yes, you have. Given the numbers now dying, I'm really desperate to be in construction, he said. More than 100 survivors have died in the past 2 years, according to the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust. Rishi Sunak's move could clear the way for planning consent, regardless of any opposition. Thanks, Rishi, we really needed that. I'm sure we'll all be made to visit it at some point. Anyway, we need to find Mystery Ming, because she needs to get the video ready for the film review tomorrow. Where is she? Ah, there she is, lazy cow. Well done, Benny, you found her. Until next time, ta-ta for now.
I'm loving it.
If you enjoyed this video, like Ruins did a previous one, you can always buy us a cuppa on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below, and thank you in advance if you do. See you tomorrow.